Do celebrity endorsements matter? Donald Trump's hissy fit over Taylor Swift suggests yes. Chris Graham from Augusta Free Press here. So you probably know already, I'm not the breaking news guy here telling you that pop superstar Taylor Swift, who signed herself Childless Cat Lady, endorsed Kamala Harris for president last night after Harris's energizing takedown of Donald Trump in the first and probably only presidential debate of the 2024 fall cycle. Of note here, the way Swift laid out her endorsement, which she made public on Instagram, she made it clear that it was Trump himself who had unwittingly, and it's not like he ever does anything wittingly, but still made her do it. Quote from the Instagram, recently I was made aware that AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted to his site. Swift wrote on Instagram, it really conjured up my fears around AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is with the truth, she said. And then out of the endorsement, which, as of when I wrote this story 20 minutes ago, early this afternoon, had 8.8 million likes. Here's the quote: "I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential cycle. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she is a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we are led by calm and not chaos. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades." So there you go. The accompanying photo, incidentally, features Swift and her cat, Benjamin Button, with the Childless Cat Lady sign off, which was an obvious reference to the comments made by Trump's running mate, U.S. Senator J.D. Vance, who has denigrated childless women who backed the Harris Walz ticket. So throwing shade at women has worked out for the Trump Vance side and the clumsy Swifties for Trump AI. Good work there, Trump. You goaded the most recognized celebrity in the world to come clean just as early voting is about to start. You can't do any better than that, right? As important as the endorsement, though, which and it wasn't a secret who Swift was going to be backing. It was just whether or not she was going to do so publicly. Was the language in her endorsement message about the importance of being registered to vote? This is another quote from the Instagram. "I also want to say, especially to first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I'll link to where to register and where to find early voting sites and info in my story," she said, referring to Instagram. So, this is where you can imagine that Swift and her team are going to have voter registration booths at her upcoming U.S. tour dates. And her next stop has her significantly in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, the home of the Miami Dolphins, October 18 to 20. Now, Florida has been reliably red the last couple of cycles, but the presence of a referendum on the state's 6-week abortion ban on the ballot this year is making things interesting. And then recent polls showing Harris 2 or 3 points behind Trump in the Sunshine State, even more so. A push from Swift could be significant down that way. Here's a quote from Case Myers, the director of graduate studies at the School of Communication at Virginia Tech. "Swift's platform is so large, it reaches a younger audience, which tends to be a less active voting demographic. This may encourage Gen Z fans to volunteer and vote." So, across the board, yes. Certainly Taylor Swift is going to have more impact than just at a concert with 80,000 people at it. I've been to Hard Rock Stadium. The UVA football team played in the Orange Bowl there a few years ago. Great venue, and it'll hold a lot of folks, and Taylor Swift will bring out a lot of folks. But she has 281 million followers on Instagram. She's the most recognized celebrity in the world. Yeah, she's going to have an impact in a lot of swing states, I would imagine. So this could be the poking the bear effect on the part of Trump getting her to come out the way she did. Now, Trump, who isn't good at finding out that people don't like him, is predictably swiping back at Taylor Swift. And of course, he did this, but back in the summertime, in an interview with a writer, he said he thinks Swift is, quote, very beautiful, actually unusually beautiful. He was clearly courting her, if nothing else, to stay out of the race. But he didn't want her to just stay out of the race. He thought he might actually get Swifties for Trump, strangely. Um, And so this is what he said this morning on Fox and Friends, where he goes for his therapy after bad situations like last night's debate. I actually like Mrs. Mahomes much better, if you want to know the truth. He said she's a big Trump fan. He's referring to Brittany Mahomes, the MAGA wife of Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who happens to be the teammate of Travis Kelce, who is Taylor Swift's current boyfriend, right? Um, that's not weird at all. Uh, Swift, Trump said, couldn't possibly endorse Biden. You look at Biden, you couldn't possibly endorse him. She did in 2020. She's a very liberal person. She always seems to endorse a Democrat. She'll probably pay a price for it in the marketplace, he tried to say. He would know about paying a price in a marketplace. Look at Truth Social stock. But no, I like Brittany. I think Brittany's great. Brittany got a lot of news last week. She's a big MAGA fan. That's the one I like much better than Taylor Swift. So I mentioned Taylor Swift has 283 million Instagram followers, just as one example of the reach of her fame. Brittany Mahomes, who is known for being the wife of someone, has 2.1 million followers on Instagram. So a little smaller there, little smaller there, Donald Trump. Um, that's a for what it's worth. Another for what it's worth. Trump has long made it clear that he desperately wants to be a member of the Cool Kids Club. He tried to buy an NFL team and got rejected because of his finances. He finagled things so that he'd get cameos in movies like Home Alone 2. He got roundly mocked for that. And he's coming up far short in the celebrity endorsement war. The best he could do for the Republican National Convention, you probably remember, was Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan, who even in whatever their prompts were, wouldn't have been big gets. That's why he's having to tout Brittany Mahomes, who's only known because of who she's married to. Um, and that's pretty much par for the course. The other side has everybody, including Taylor Swift, and now we're looking at you, Beyonce, to be the next one. Uh, the question then is, do celebrity endorsements tilt the scales one way or the other? I don't think they do necessarily. I mean, it's not like, okay, we got Taylor, now we're going to win. But they do work at, quote, getting people who are disengaged, like Gen Z, from the political process to pay attention, effectively widening the audience. Those are the words of Megan Duncan, an associate professor at Virginia Tech, whose research focuses on how partisans judge the credibility of and engage with the news. So, yeah, you get people who are disengaged, young voters who need to be prodded to go out and vote, and someone like a Beyonce, or in this case Taylor Swift, or insert name of other significant celebrity here, can actually get people to say, "Hey, maybe I need to pay attention to this." And so talking about widening the audience, the last time the audience got widened didn't work out so well for Donald Trump. Remember, he'll tell you he got a lot more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. In fact, he got 11 million more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. But the other side got 15 million more votes in 2020 than in 2016, and that's why he lost in a landslide, right? So the more people who come out to vote, in particular the more under 30s who come out to vote, the worse it will be for Trump, whose support tends to be geriatric. Um, this is why Trump tried last month to claim the Taylor Swift endorsement. It's why he called her unusually beautiful a few months ago. It's why he tried the Swifties for Trump stunt. He can cry to the skies above. He didn't want Taylor Swift on his side, but we all know the truth. You have anything for me, any news tips, any observations to share, please feel free to do so at chris@augustafreepress.com.